Welcome in to the DNVR Avalanche pregame show. Avs versus Rangers part 2. This one in Colorado. Avs feeling pretty good about themselves right now after taking down the Florida Panthers. The NHL not feeling very healthy at the moment. We'll get into that quite a bit, I'm sure. For the Avs side of things, Devon Toews out of the lineup in COVID protocol tonight. And the Rangers very likely not starting a fourth goaltender tonight, Blaze.
Nope.
So we'll see. We'll see if this game's a little bit more competitive than the last one.
Yeah, well, the Rangers have kind of run into a rough patch after playing the Avs. Now, they did win the game after they played Buffalo. They won it 2-1. But there was some late drama there where basically I think the NHL came out and said that they got the call wrong, right?
Look. If you're having late
What
drama
was
against
that?
Buffalo, if you're having late drama against Buffalo, it was not a good game. We'll put it that way.
Well, I mean, they dominated that game. Like, I watched it, and they were up 2-0 going into the third. Let a goal in with, 5 minutes left. I mean, Buffalo definitely pushed in the third period, and then with 53 seconds left,
gave up the tying goal.
But then
called back for offside, and it was an incorrect interpretation of it. And the league came out the next day and said, "Oh shit!"
Well,
that was our bad.
The Avs know a little something about that. Happened to the Avs a couple years back against St. Louis too. So,
yeah, I remember that game.
And then they lost to the Preds 1-0. What a game!
It was fantastic for UC Saros.
Have we finally made it to the section of the season where nobody scores 8 goals anymore? Please.
And Jacob Trouba had a huge hit in that game as well. Which
it was like 3 games in a row for him.
Yeah, 3 of 4, I think.
Yeah, is that what it was?
Yeah, nothing against Buffalo. Buffalo was crazy too because I went and looked at their stats. They had 1 hit through the first 2 periods of the game.
Strong team, very physical.
Do we have shots fired here from Kira saying, "Holy moly, Blaze is here on time"?
I am on time. Almost didn't happen.
Are you usually late?
It's happened a couple of times.
No, it's 2 times in a row that it's been bad.
He has to drive down 25 to get here though, so he has the traffic.
I have to drive
excuse
up
for real.
25.
But he's driving 3 times as far as you are.
Well, what happens is I
I'll
set
hear
in my Waze app.
excuses.
I say I want to be there, an hour before, and then I get in my car when it tells me to get in my car, and then it just goes. Here's the time.
You'll be there by 6:45. Oh, great!
Get in your car when it tells you to get in your car.
Yeah, you can.
Blaze,
you can.
You gotta figure out how to be your own man.
No,
You're the one who controls the technology.
No.
The technology doesn't control you, bud.
Technology makes your life easier by telling you things to do.
Oh, Jesus.
Life's easy when everyone's telling you what to do, I guess.
Speaking of the technology telling you what to do, I've had the auto sync for the Avalanche calendar on my phone for years.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So every time their schedule releases, they put it on their
just in
website.
there,
It auto uploads to my
awesome.
Google, and it gives me well, all of the alerts this year. First of all, none of the games starting in 2022 loaded. And none of them started at the correct actual start times of the games. So at midnight of every game day, I get the notification that the Avs play the next day. And I'm like,
amazing.
yeah, I got it. Thanks. This is useless.
So,
Technology.
circling it back into the hockey, expectations for the Avs is that it will be McDermott and then Justin Barron getting his first NHL start. We'll talk about him a little bit later. But
Boy, what a difference you go from Jacob McDonald and Devon Toews to Curtis McDermott, Justin Barron.
yeah,
On your defense to switch that up.
completely different.
And then also a huge difference to go from Curtis McDermott at forward to Nazem
to Nazem
Kadri.
Kadri. Yeah, exactly. A little bit of an upgrade on that
Oh
side.
my god! this is what whiplash is, which is a real thing, by the way.
Yes, I've had it happen to me many
somebody.
times.
I had this conversation recently. I don't remember who it was with. That was like, "Is whiplash even real?"
What?
Yeah,
That person's never been in a car accident.
it was
for sure.
fascinating. It's a real thing, fam.
Yep.
Yeah, it's very real, and it is no fun. Can confirm. So, I mean, what are expectations tonight for the Avs? Because they just played a great 3-2 game
Just
against
have
Florida.
fun. Get out healthy.
Okay.
No COVID.
No
Yeah,
COVID.
good luck.
No COVID. Yeesh. That's for sure. That would definitely be a plus.
Yeah.
You think with getting Kadri back and just the way that they've been playing and playing against, I believe, the backup goaltender for
They've got
the Rangers.
Gorgiev in net
Yeah,
tonight.
but he's been playing well, but
He's a decent backup.
it's the Avalanche offense, and they've been potent.
Well,
So you think that they're going to put up a few goals, 4 or 5.
What's your look at the top 6 right now? With Landy still out, it's certainly after last game, pretty hard to take Berkey off that top line, I would think. But
Sure.
you end up with
Always
Kadri.
live in the moment.
So,
brother.
so Kadri, Nuke, and just LOC.
LOC,
just stick
yeah.
with it.
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, no. I would actually go with Comper.
Sure.
And then I would try to run.
New Hook, LOC, and Obey Kubel or something.
I was gonna say Jost, but
Jost
yeah,
works
that would
too,
also
yeah.
be That would also be fine
All
with
right.
Abe Kubel.
Okay. Let's get into the overarching picture in the NHL here. Over the last 2 days, 23 players have been put in COVID protocol. I'm not sure how many of those are actual positive tests, but 23 players in protocol. I believe Ali was telling me before the show, like 75 NFL players have tested positive in the last couple days too.
Yep.
So
Monday is their big testing day, so Monday's always when.
they all crop up.
Yeah, but this week it was like they had something like 20 some odd players combined the last 2 weeks test positive, and then today it was like those numbers triple and quadruple, and they go, and obviously the NHL had a day.
Yep.
Where 2 separate games have been canceled.
Postponed now. Yeah.
The Flames are done for I think the next 2 or 3 days completely.
Yep.
There's a lot of rumblings out of Nashville that they've got an outbreak.
4 positives, right?
Yeah, taking place right now. The Avs are set to fly to Nashville for Thursday of this week. And the Avs and Panthers each put one guy on the protocol list today.
Yep.
After playing each other the other day. So it would not be a huge surprise if you see another guy or two from each of those 2 teams
Get picked off a little bit there.
end up on the list, and then you start to have the real conversation where you maybe not a league-wide pause, but where you start to say, hey.
Yeah,
I think we go back to player restrictions first. Try that. Where basically not allowed to do anything.
Well, so they have the NHL and the NHLPA has a weekly call where they have these conversations.
Right.
That call is scheduled for tomorrow. Got moved up to tonight.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see.
there were
We'll
rumblings.
see what comes out of that. Where increased restrictions was going to
Right.
be the primary topic of conversation.
Even I know in Toronto they were considering going back to playing games without fans in the building again too. So there could be some things coming down that road. But
Yeah, and I'm just let me tell you, as a person who is supposed to be going out of town to cover the team, I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do anything.
Is it going to be totally?
Granted, I'm supposed to be
blocked
going
out?
to Texas, so there's a pretty good chance
you're
that
good.
things will
You're
be
good. You're
open.
fine.
Yeah.
I will be okay because Greg Gabbett is kind of his own monster down there. So, but it is a thing, the COVID around the league. I kind of wanted to just talk about it tonight because we're not really doing regular shows this week. It's just game days really for us.
Friday's
So we
our
don't-
only normal show.
Yeah,
I
so
think.
we don't really have a chance to actually have this conversation much.
So we'll have it on the pregame.
Yeah, so really, is there a point to a league-wide shutdown? I say, is there a point to it, and it's mostly to what end? Because that as soon as the league starts back up again,
It's just going to keep
it's
happening.
going to go back to happening. So is this just the same as last year, or you just kind of have to grit your teeth and get through this?
I think probably. I mean, rather than, obviously it's going to depend on how severe it gets, right? If you have 300 players in COVID protocol, you have to shut things down.
Well, we have 700 players in the league.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You have 300 players on protocol. You have this is a league-wide outbreak. You can't play games at that point,
But-
especially with no cap relief in place to help teams. And this is the other part of the story that I think is frustrating.
Yeah, but assuming the counts are manageable, instead of a shutdown, I would like to see them probably tack like 2-3 weeks on the end of the season and say, all right, we'll put all of our games that we need to reschedule and then aggressively reschedule teams that are dealing with COVID problems.
Yeah.
But I don't know if a whole shutdown would do anything than just delay unnecessarily.
Okay. Because it does seem to me like you might get it so that everybody is like all the teams are clean, like, are good, and can compete. But I think you also have a serious competitive problem because of the decision to not allow cap relief for the COVID affected teams. That you've got teams that are regularly icing. It's one thing if you're regularly icing AHL guys and it's just like, hey, you've got to do what you got to do to play the games.
But you're
and
icing
it is what it
15 skaters.
But when you're icing, 16, 17 skaters on a regular basis because the league is just like, no, we're not going to help. Like, how many teams? I think that there's 20 teams that are either utilizing LTIR or within 3 million of the cap.
Yep.
Well,
You're talking, this isn't like a couple of teams that made risky decisions or what. Like, you've got whole competitive issues here where teams are getting screwed. Like, how many teams are going to end up in a playoff hunt where they're 2 or 3 points here or there
because they had to play games with half their roster?
You look back at where Colorado had to call up Stefan Matteau and all the cheapest guys that they could and play a guy short because they were trying to get the COVID exemption for the next game.
Yep.
And they had so many guys get hurt in that game that they ended up being able to just throw people on LTIR and solve their own problem.
Anyway.
They out-injured their problem.
Well, that's a huge issue, though, too,
crazy,
right?
Man.
Like, when you start having a short bench, you're going to have more injuries.
Right.
So it's like you'd want them to make that rule change so that AHL players can come up as long as you're not getting tons of cases popping up.
Right? Yeah, it's like if you have like 6 or 7 cases on a team, dude, you need to shut it down.
Yeah.
Not call up 6 AHLers.
I mean, there's another conversation here, which I don't think it's one anyone wants, but the NHL basically has a month break baked into its schedule right now.
So this is the double-edged sword where you see, hey, they've got 3 weeks in February where they can do whatever they need to do.
Yep.
However, those venues have started booking.
Yep.
Those venues started booking concerts that they're trying to get. You've got 2 years worth of comedians and musicians
trying to get in there
who are trying to tour as much as they possibly can to make up for lost time.
Do you know who doesn't have that issue?
Who?
The Yotes. Because they have an issue of not having a rink to play at.
Yeah, I mean, they're just trying to pay their bills, man.
Oh, man. Brutal.
Are they trying to pay their bills?
The Coyotes live paycheck to paycheck. The Coyotes are the American franchise.
Oh, okay. Unnecessary burns coming out right here. But, they're also trying to build a $500 million stadium. So I guess I can't talk.
Yeah, well, it's easy to talk about it.
It's fair. Definitely fair enough.
I don't know about trying to do it, but anyway.
Anyway, we don't have to get too much more into the COVID stuff, but it is something affecting
just
the league
mostly I wanted to have this conversation because we don't have an off day to really dedicate a 20-minute segment to talk about it.
The much more fun topic for this game is Justin Barron's first NHL game.
We kind of joked about it over the weekend, and I was like, "Is there anybody else? Like, is it just Justin Barron at this point?" Because you remember at the start of the year, it was like, "Oh, well, they've got Ryan Murray and Jack Johnson as the 6th guy, and then Curtis McDermott, and then Jacob McDonald, and then we'll see."
Maybe Dennis Gilbert was playing well at the start of the
year.
Dennis
Gilbert was playing probably the best hockey of his pro career at the start of the year, and then he's hurt, and Ryan Murray's hurt, and
now
here we are.
Now it's Justin Barron time.
Yeah. Good news is it sounds like McDonald is
relatively good.
Yeah, like wandering around and back at the rink, and we'll see what his prognosis ends up being. But it just given how it went, the fact that he's even hanging about is
definitely good. Yeah. Not dealing with anything too serious on the other side of that. For Barron, is he going to get more than 10 minutes tonight? Under over
who's
on
he
that?
Be playing with?
McDermott.
He is.
Chat was saying he's listed as with EJ.
So
yes, they were.
But
they're not going to do that to him. EJ gets overused too much. They will shift the pairings as they need.
Yeah.
Because McDermott's only going to play 5 or 6 minutes.
Right.
yeah,
Regardless. And then Barron will probably get. I'm going to get, without knowing how the game plays out and how many penalties get called, because I don't think he'll be part of special teams. But
probably not. Yeah.
I would say somewhere between 8 to 12 minutes of ice time. If it's a blowout either direction, obviously you just
Things change.
you just feed him minutes. But I think in the event of a reasonably competitive hockey game where you're not drowning in special teams, 8 to 12 minutes is kind of where I expect him to be.
Talk about two differences in defensive styles that are going to be out on the ice together there.
I mean, I am curious to see. I mean, you always expect some first game nerves and stuff,
Sure.
but can he stick to his game? Like I posted the clip the other night of him just totally walking the blue line in the AHL and scoring a goal. Can we see him at least be confident enough to attempt that type of stuff at the NHL level?
I mean, look, dude, you got to play with confidence. Well, what is the one thing that we have seen really separate the different kids who have been called up this year? The guys who have played with with confidence have separated.
Yep.
And even, I mean, you look at Abe Kubel, I would consider in that call-up conversation, the guy they claim off waivers. He came in and he played with confidence, and he's carved out a spot. Maltsev has played with some confidence. Now he's had other issues that have kept him from sticking.
Solidifying.
Right. Yeah. Where he just makes a really, really bad decision that really hurts them. But it's play with confidence. Be who you are, and when you look at like Jacob McDonald last year when he stuck,
because he was just sending it.
It was because he was just like, look, this is just who I am. For better or worse, this is how I have to play. And it got him 30 games or something. Like it got him higher up on a priority for this year to be called up and be in the lineup. It's just be who you are. Defensively, it's going to be a major work in progress. I would say don't have super high expectations for Justin Barron just yet.
Definitely.
But also don't be surprised if he does a thing or two in the offensive zone. We are like, oh,
that's fun. Yeah.
We see that.
Yeah, I think for him is just really keeping it simple as well, right? Like play with confidence, keep it simple. Don't try to do anything outrageous like what you're doing in the AHL. Obviously, if you're a defenseman skating across the top by the blue line all the way across,
that's a highlight for a reason.
Yeah, I don't think that's happening in the NHL without somebody challenging that. So really, if he just plays inside of what he knows how to do and does well, I think he's going to have a good night.
Is there a little bit of pressure, especially with a team as good as the Avs, if you're bringing someone like that on a call-up to say, hey, just don't crater this team in the defensive zone?
Yeah, I think there's pressure because there are expectations, especially when you see like how they've handled a guy like Maltsev, who when you actually just watch him play, he's done good things. But because he's made
critical
big mistakes,
he
got sent down both times.
He came back immediately.
He came back, but there's like circumstances being what they were.
Sure.
This is for Maltsev, like this is a good chance for him, but for Barron, like you look at all of this, you watch. I've talked to all these AHL guys over the years who get called up. They know the score.
Yep.
They understand. They see what happens when guys get called up or get sent back down. They understand that if you make big mistakes, you don't hang about. Like that's what made the Sampo Ranta thing so weird at the start of the year was that
the full 10. Yeah,
he wasn't providing a whole lot of positive, and there were plenty of negatives to find every night.
Yeah,
and he just kept chilling. They just kept giving it to him. Other circumstances they decimated with injuries and such at the beginning of the year. But it's also telling now that they've had more forward injuries, and he's not even a conversation right now.
I think offensively, too, you just get a little bit more leeway. When you're a defensive player and you're coming up into the NHL, like, everything's just more exposed, right? Like, people see you make mistakes. Yeah. Usually it happens, and then you're on the wrong side of the scorecard, right? Yep. So that's one of those things where it's just, I think it's a little bit harder to tap the NHL when you're an NHL defenseman.
Yeah.
So,
interestingly, Justin Barron, only the 9th defenseman to play for the Avs so far this year.
Yeah.
Compared to last year when we were talking about defensemen 11, 12,
Well, I mean,
13.
you think Kyle Burrows and Keaton Middleton and Dan Renouf, like these guys all got games.
Deep in the bag last year. So not quite to that level yet.
They get much deeper. Nate Clermont's making his debut.
Jordan Gross be up here real soon, my man. Yeah. It hasn't been that hard of a strain yet, but one or two more and it gets that way pretty quick. Okay.
It's just frustrating that their top 4 just can't
just solidify,
Yeah.
just be healthy for like 5 games.
I'm worried that we're going to see just how important Devon Toews is to this team.
I'm a little concerned of that
because there's a very clear line of first month of the season. The defense was a chaotic mess.
And then Devon Toews shows up.
Devon Toews got back, and things started to settle in a little bit. There were still some tough nights, but there was a high-end stabilizer every single night. And
maybe we're just in for a Cale Makar game then.
Yeah,
where
and
he can pop off.
Look, going head-to-head against Adam Fox again, right?
Let's go.
We'll see. But with Devon Toews being out, I think we're going to get reminded real quick that holy smokes is he important to them.
Yep. All right, you can forgive Blaze for betting on the Panthers the other night because he just loves to make
the bad guy.
He loves to make bets that lose on the Panthers, just like his steak bet. But
we do have a lot of love for AJ's hat.
He did hit pretty much all your other bets on the game.
I
mean,
you're
still going
I think
strong.
I missed another one as well. I think I had Cale getting a point.
Okay.
So
that's right. You needed the Cale empty netter. I forgot. Still up on the game.
I made my money back. So I went 50-50.
Not bad. What do you got for us tonight?
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up my DraftKings. I'm having some problems getting in here.
All right, well, just make them up then.
Make them up. I'm taking the Avs with the 1.5 over.
You like the Avs to cover a lot of games.
Yeah, I mean, I like anybody to
they
cover.
They haven't played very many 1-goal games.
That's true.
That's true.
But even in hockey, right? Like most of the time, you're going to see the other team. If it's close, they're going to pull their goalie and go. Put an extra man out, and a lot of the times you'll see an empty net goal that gives you the 2 goals there. So
you're betting on an empty. Well, with the Avs, you don't even need the empty netter for most of these games. But yeah, definitely.
This does have really big letdown game feel to it.
It does feel a little
after
bit
the
like
huge game against Florida. You've
Now
got a
Taves
division
is
game
out.
against Nashville.
Yeah.
This is your emotional letdown of a game right here.
I'm just looking at it from like the Rangers not playing so hot after the Avs kind of,
they're in a downswing too.
Yeah, they're in a downswing too. So somebody's going to have to come in here and just play the right game. And the Avs are on that upswing. So I'm hoping that they just keep, rising to the occasion.
Just outscore your problems, baby.
There you go.
That's all it is.
Either, maybe are we finally going to see the long-awaited Darcy Kemper game? We keep asking for it. But
Last game got close.
It felt like it
finished,
at times.
It finished
A little squirrely.
I would say without the huge EJ very, very obviously bailed him out of the tie game at the end. That's probably that and in Vancouver are the 2 games where I would say those are Darcy Kemper his games so far.
All right, I'm back in.
All right, what you got?
All right, so I definitely took the Avs on the puck line. I took Nathan McKinnon with points over 1.5
Sure.
at plus 115. I took Makar on power play points.
Oh, pee-pee.
That's over a half point. That's plus 145.
That's pretty good money.
I have Kadri with assist over a half an assist at plus 120. And I also put Kadri to score the first goal. So I'm going big on Kadri's return.
Going big on Nazem Kadri continuing to be a top 10 NHL scorer.
Yeah, I mean, look at what he's done in the past, right? So,
yeah.
Hey, if it's as far as I'm concerned, his point streak is still going because he didn't play in the games that he missed. So, count it.
Statistically, it will be.
Yeah. I actually hate it when people try and do it, like with Taylor Hall's point streak back a few years ago. It's not a point streak if you miss games.
There was somebody trying to make a point streak. It was
like from season to season too. Yeah,
where I couldn't remember who it was, but it was like a Kevin Fiala type, like a decent like top
well,
6
he's got
guy.
points in 17 straight
and it
games,
was like
but 10 of them were last year in the playoffs.
Points in 13 straight games, and it was like the first 5 of them were the last 5 of last regular season, and you're like, shut up.
It's been 4 months.
Right? Like, whoever came up with the stat, we're going to fight.
He's on a different team now. What's going on?
Yeah, it was just, I don't remember who it was, but it was one of those types of things where it was split up and you're like, no. like in baseball, if a guy finishes the season on a 19
He's on a 36 game hitting streak, but we've only played 17 games this year.
Yeah, right.
Come on. All right.
You're like, it's April 10th. Shut up.
Puck drop is less than 10 minutes away, so we're going to get out of here. We'll be back post-game, same place. After the game is the time. Go figure. Hope to see you all there. Hope you all enjoy the game. Until then, before I start just speaking gibberish, we'll talk to you later.